welcome to our live coverage of Hurricane Katrina. I'm Martin Folse along with Jimmy DeGate, and I know you've seen Jimmy around before. He always helps us with hurricane coverage, and we got a lot to talk about. We're going to stay on tonight and try to give you all the information, but Jimmy, a very serious storm, one that as Tropical Depression 10 they thought might die, but all of a sudden it might be one of the worst storms that's threatening our area in quite a long time.
Yes, it is, Martin. It, you know, as you said, when it was on the eastern side of Florida, we wasn't sure what was going to happen. Picked up to a Category 1, grazed the southern part of Florida, got into the Gulf. As recently as yesterday, it looked like it was going to go, you know, into the Florida Panhandle, and then all of a sudden, everybody wakes up this morning and we're kind of dead center, and so we have to see what's going to happen.
If we could start going to the map. And there you see it, the latest position is 24.8 north, 85.9 west. The winds are at 115 miles per hour, the gusts at 140 miles per hour, the movement west-northwest at 7 miles per hour. Sure reminds me of Hurricane Andrew that we've covered almost exactly 13 years. It would be tomorrow, 13 years. And there you see it. There's the stick, Jimmy. We've relegated to putting it on animation here. Now let me explain what this is. The two lines naturally is an alleyway which we just created in the studio. The eye is very hard to see, but we were in the studio and you can see the eye ends up right on the little red circle. That is the current position. Now, does that mean the alleyway? We just placed the alleyway right in between Terrebonne and Lafourche Parish. That'll give us a chance to see if the eye moves past the alleyway, which of course makes it a little harder when it makes that turn to miss us.
Right.
But if it continues west-northwest like they're saying it has right now, it should come right up this alleyway, and then if it's going to jog outside of these two sticks, then we'll be able to see it. It'll be evident. Of course, it's hard to see that eye right now because it's not so profound. Let's just show the strike probability. Of course, it's right to the east of Terrebonne Parish. It's a little bit east of parts of Lafourche, but parts of Lafourche are right in the strike zone. So it just depends on where you live, how much wind you're going to get, how much rain you're going to get. But if this path continues, Jimmy, New Orleans will certainly get popped with 115 plus mile per hour winds.
They will, and it would be a rough ride here in Terrebonne as well. Terrebonne, Lafourche Parish, if it maintains that, will still get some strong winds, rain of course. And, you know, so we really want it to move a little further east than that.
There is a good look at Hurricane Katrina. Jimmy, as you can well see and the audience can well see, this is a monster of a storm. It covers almost the entire eastern Gulf of Mexico. It has grown to tremendous proportions. And once again, we are not trying to scare people, but this is one of those storms where, matter of fact, I was talking to several members of my family today. We've been covering storms for over 20 years here on HTV. This is the storm that the Clifford Smiths, that everybody in emergency preparedness, that every parish president that's ever been up here in the desk has been scared about. This is the storm that comes up the Mississippi River and wreaks havoc, and it's a plus, Category 3 plus. Clifford Smith has painted this scenario 100 times on this desk, and I'm scared to say tonight that this may be the one he was talking about.
Well, it could be, depending on the angle that it comes in, whether it makes that turn or not. Interestingly enough, we don't see, as strong as this storm is, you don't see a well-defined eye. That's only because it has gone through some reorganization, which I know the meteorologists are predicting is really I guess a precursor to intensification. So they're expecting it tonight to really intensify.
Joining us now, the parish president of Lafourche Parish, Charlotte Randolph. And I know, Charlotte, it has been a busy few days for you. Seems like last time we saw you on the desk, it was almost the same path. This one just a little bit different, but preparations I know have been intense. You have been in a lot of meetings. In Lafourche Parish right now, looks like it's going to get hit pretty good. What are your thoughts right now?
This is a very dangerous storm, Martin. And there's no beating around the bush when it comes to this one. If it continues on its current path, then we are in danger. And Again, we don't attempt to alarm people, but at the same time, we want people to be on the alert and understand how dangerous this storm is. But the particular danger and precarious situation is within the levee system in south of Fourche, because there are gates on either side, floodgates on either side. And when that tide begins to rise, in order to protect the residents within the levee system, the gates have to be closed. About 10 years ago, we had to close the gates for a storm, and there was about $15 million worth of marine vessels outside that gate, not to mention the number of lives that were in a predicament. I believe, that situation worked out very well because the storm did not hit here. But should this occur in this instance, it really would be a disaster.
We've got a pretty good look at this storm. In your own words, tell me what you think.
The reports I got today in Charlotte is absolutely correct. This storm has the potential to be one of the worst. Everyone needs to take it seriously. I spoke with Fox News this afternoon, and they asked about it. And of course, one of the things I explained to them was the loss of marsh and in between the Gulf and the land now. The protective areas are all gone with the Barrier Islands, and so the tidal surge and a storm that Category 4, potentially Category 5, could be just really devastating, regardless of where it gets.
Charlotte, the congressman is talking about the point you brought up, the fact that the marsh has deteriorated. You said when Betsy came through, and it's very true, we had more barrier islands to protect us from it. We have really substantially no islands to protect us, and I know the congressman it's one of his biggest concerns, and that's why we fight so hard to get money to restore islands and coastal protection, because of things like this coming down the Gulf.
That's also why we're emphasizing the need to do this quickly. That those who are looking at this as a long-term process don't realize that we don't have that much time to cure the problems we're facing now. And certainly the congressman understands that and is working very diligently to accomplish things quickly.
Jerome, we were talking about surges and all that. To me, that's just so fascinating how each storm has a different surge. Some tropical storms have bigger surges than hurricanes. It just baffles me, but each one has a different dynamic. This one's dynamic has everything.
That's right. It's also unique that hurricanes are the only natural disaster that are named. Rightfully so, in so much as they have their own characteristics, like you said, although probably you like to refer to them with expletives as opposed to names, but the point is,
I never heard of earthquake Molly or anything.
But hurricanes are the only natural disasters that do have names. But you're right. It all depends on the prevailing winds. Winds have a lot to do with some of the storm surge, but it depends primarily on the depth and the shelf and the angle and the trajectory of the storm that primarily determine what in fact is going to happen. And another thing, and a lot of the problems that we have, especially with storm surges, because just like the shelf, the storm surge increases and it builds as it gets closer to the coast. Channels have a direct effect, and just like the Houma Navigation Canal and bayous, which constrict that surge, and it rises. And that's one of the dangers we have in Terrebonne Parish, is the fact that you have the Houma Navigation Canal, which is a channel, which also would constrict that surge, because the surge is going to go somewhere.
This is what you're going to be seeing tomorrow night. I don't know if you can make it out pretty good in your screen, because we're just transposing our screen onto our signal. Can you make that out?
Fine.
Well, this is what it's going to show you tomorrow night when we're going through the buoys. We're going to show, like this buoy right here is station 42001. It's a mid-Gulf buoy. And a matter of fact, if we go back here in the computer, you can see that where the buoy is actually at. This buoy is right here where the arrow is. So when I'm going to this tomorrow, you'll be able to see me live punching in, and then it's going to go to that buoy, and then I'll scroll down and give you the data on it. And then of course we got a little conversion thing that converts, like right here. We'll push this up if I can get it to cooperate, and then like right here on the top I'll put, if the winds are 100 knots, that means your wind speed is 115. And welcome to our live coverage of Hurricane Katrina. I'm Martin Folse. Hadn't had much sleep like most of you all night long. Of course, If you're just waking up and just joining us, I'm sure you're flipping channels like everybody else is. We have a monster in the Gulf of Mexico. It has always been our policy here at HTV not to alarm anyone, to try to stay calm, and we will do that. However, you must take notice of what we're about to show you and what we're about to tell you. If we could go to the latest on Katrina right now, I'm going to show you some of the maps that we got in from AccuWeather, and I'm sure you're seeing them as you flip all over. We're going to give you a lot of local information also. The last position that we were given by AccuWeather is 25.4 north, 87.4 west. Look at this, folks. This is not a misprint. Winds sustained 160 miles per hour. Gusts 190 miles per hour. Movement west-northwest at 10 miles per hour. Keep it on this graphic just for a second. This is of proportion almost to the point where Hurricane Camille was in the late 60s. The pressure has dropped all night on Hurricane Katrina. It is a serious threat. This is of catastrophic proportions. If we could go to the next map, please. This is a shot. Of course, we've been showing you the stick. Now watch the eye. Right now, it's still coming down the alley. We told you last night that that's what we wanted. We didn't want it to go further west and then make the move. However, we wanted to make the move. We wanted to make the move away from New Orleans to where the eye wall is east of New Orleans. So it has cooperated in one sense in the fact that it has come down the alley. But it needs to make its move. The next 5 hours will be crucial. If it does not make its move, we have the alley right in between Terrebonne and Lafourche Parish. The jog to the west of that would put the eye in the worst part for St. Mary, Terrebonne, Lafourche parishes. Any jog east of that, of course, would still be very catastrophic for Lafourche. Would be, you could say better for Terrebonne, but when you take winds off of this thing, you still have a Category 3. So if Lafourche gets a Category 4, Terrebonne gets a Category 3. So no matter how you slice this thing, you gotta hope that it goes east. It's just that important at this point. In the heart of Terrebonne Parish, that is the strike probability. It can't get any more center, if I'm reading that right. And Jason, correct me if I'm wrong, but on the far left, it's right in the center of Terrebonne Parish. And you know, I can't see it, and sometimes you say, well, why is he asking for help? Because I want somebody else to tell me what I'm seeing is true. This is the latest from AccuWeather, unless those steering currents pick this thing up and just move it east of the Mississippi River. Look at the eye on this storm as it developed. You want to say the perfect storm? You're looking at it. That's the perfect storm. And you know, we painted the alleyway for you last night with our stick, and we're going to try to get that to you. I know they're working on that. And just hold it right here before we get to the stick. There's the storm surge that we've been talking about. 20 to 50 foot waves. Okay, 20 to 50 foot waves ahead of Katrina. The storm surge is just going to be unbelievable with this storm. We're talking 10 to 15 feet, if not more. Okay, this is super important for coastal areas of Lafourche, coastal areas of Terrebonne, coastal areas around also the Fouchon area. It's just, heed the warning. We started telling you last night that this was nothing to mess around with, and we're still telling you this. If you can't say we didn't warn you. You can't say it. You can't say New Orleans TV didn't warn you. You can't say the local radio stations didn't warn you. Some of you just don't get it. We figured that out by the phone calls last night. And for God's sake, if you're in a trailer and you're listening to this broadcast right now, get out. It is 100% probability that your trailer will be crushed and destroyed and mangled in this type of storm. I'm going to say it again so you can hear me. If you live in a trailer and you're even thinking about staying in the trailer, then all I could say is, I'm going to repeat myself, is 100% probability that your trailer will be crushed, destroyed, and mangled. In other words, you're not going to make it through. So listen to me carefully right there. If we can continue with the map, Jason, let's move right along. Of course, there are the areas. That's the map we show you every single time. If it continues on its same course, you won't see the map. Power is going to fail. Roofs are going to fly off of homes. Structural damage will be massive. Houma, Thibodeau, Lafourche Parish will look different than it did before you went to bed last night. Just like Morgan City and Patterson looked a little different after Andrew went over it. And if we had the time and the resources and the employees here this morning, I would rerun some of that footage for you and let you see what actually happened. This storm is 2 categories higher than that storm when it hit coastal Louisiana. Hello, you're on the air. Can I help you?
Good morning.
Good morning.
And we hope it stays that way.
It's good to hear somebody laugh.
Yeah.
It's lonely up here sometimes.
I know. Yeah, I've got to get ready to go to church this morning, but I had, that's a good place for me to be this morning, is in church.
You're right.
And I do live in a mobile home, but I'm not staying here.
Right.
And I go to the neighbor's house behind me. And I finally got a little bit of sleep this morning and woke up at 6:30 and saw the TV, and I jumped straight out of that bed. I'm scared.
Oh, I'm going to tell you, I hate to keep reiterating it. We've been doing this, 20 years?
Yeah, I know.
At HTV, and we've weathered a lot of them, but there's no time to be a cowboy. I keep telling everybody. This is the one that I use. I don't know if you recall Clifford Smith being on the air with me several times. Mm-hmm. And he talked about the perfect storm coming right up the alley.
That's it.
He couldn't have painted a better picture of what's in the Gulf right now.
That's right.
So, are you in Houma or Thibodeau?
No, I'm in Houma.
Houma? Okay.
East side of Houma, yeah.
Well, you're doing the smart thing.
Oh, yeah. I never stay in my mobile home when there's a hurricane. If I was here when Andrew went through.
I would not stay in a regular home right now.
Yeah, well, I don't have any other choice.
I know. I'm just telling you. I want to make sure I'm perfectly clear with everybody.
I know, and that's why I'm very upset this morning.
Yeah, well, I mean, but hey, through it all, remain calm. I'm saying.
Oh yeah, I'm staying as calm.
And also, stay by the part of the house that has all the pipes in it.
Oh yeah.
Which is the bathroom.
Right.
And so, look, you're going to be in. I'm going to tell everybody straight up. You'll be in for a harrowing night.
Oh, I know that.
Or a harrowing day, I should say.
I know.
But as long as you know it's coming, you'll be probably a little easy to get through it,
Well, yeah, I hunker down in the corner and, say prayers.
Yep, say a lot.
Yeah, that's all you can do, yeah.
The stick don't always tell people what they want to hear, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it doesn't lie, The stick doesn't lie. But
I learned that from the other station. They ain't got the stick.
Yeah, we hope it veers off of the stick a lot more east, but I'm not sure what's going to happen. We'll know in the next 5 hours.
Hope for the best.
All right. Well, look, you take care of yourself, and we hope you make it out safely.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Charlie Malone, our congressman on line 1. How you doing, Congressman?
I'm doing fine, Martin. You're doing a smart thing, making sure that the people are aware. This one is the real thing. They've moved up. Just got off a conference call. They have moved up the time that we will start getting surges and the time that the storm will arrive. Actual storm arrival has been moved down into the early mornings. 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock, somewhere like that. The Terrebonne obviously is right on the left side of the eye wall, is what they're predicting at this point in time. St. Bernard, Plaquemines, Lower Jefferson, or the West Bank of Jefferson and Orleans appear in their mind right now to be the center, and it ain't going to be pretty.
Congressman, this is the worst scenario that we predicted for years, that one day we said we would get. I mean, I know you heard me talking about Clifford Smith. He's been on the show with me for years. He's painted this bleak picture for years and told the scenario of it. You know, I used to go out and hear some people go, well, that'll never happen. But you know what? It's happening.
Yep. It's, I guess, in some terms, the perfect storm, because it is exactly what they've been saying would happen if one like this formed up and came into New Orleans. They are evacuating St. Tammany, Tangipahoa, East Ascension, our lower parts of East Ascension, St. James, St. John, St. Charles, mandatory evacuations. And of course, your parish is Lafourche Parish. The only one that I didn't get a chance to find out that they haven't said anything about is St. Mary, and I'm hoping to call into the office, the emergency center, and see if they've got any information on what they're proposing there.
We're going to give you a shot of I-10 right now in New Orleans, and as you can tell, traffic's moving. Okay, it's not always what you want to see, but if you focus on it, it's not gridlock. So it's moving slow, but you know, the left lane is headed towards Baton Rouge. That's the Contra flow, and that's I'm told near Cleary Avenue. So there you have a shot of the traffic moving. Now I'm going to ask control room, the shots on the right side of the free flowing traffic, where are they heading? Are they just trying to get up and cut in? Okay, so everybody's heading west, so they're getting to I-55. That might not be a bad approach too, just to get moving. We have the latest advisories from the National Weather Service and also AccuWeather. If we could go to that right now and show you on the screen. Position 26.0 north, 88.1 west, winds 175 miles per hour. The gust at 215. That is in excess of what Hurricane Camille was in 1969. That was at 212, if I recall. Sustained winds at 170. This is a stronger Category 5. Winds northwest now. That is what I've been waiting to see. Northwest winds instead of west-northwest. That is a good sign. It doesn't mean it's a great sign, but hopefully this storm can still make that turn and miss the southeast. So it's going to impact us no matter what, but hopefully the eye will not affect Lafourche Parish, Terrebonne Parish, and we know New Orleans is going to get hit with major proportions here. We know Grand Isle is going to take a large brunt of this storm, and we feel for our neighbors to the east, of course. So there you see that particular update. It is official. It's 305 miles south-southeast of New Orleans. It's a big storm, folks. You're going to see in our local Doppler radar where we show the parish names, we already have feeder bands strolling in. And there you see the outskirts of it. You see the feeder bands coming in. This storm is massive. It covers the entire Gulf of Mexico. There you see it. I mean, pictures tell you all the words here. Look at the eye of this storm. Never in the 20 years that we've been covering hurricanes here in HTV has a storm looked so ideal of a storm. This is a perfect storm. I mean, you can see there's no shearing on any of the sides of it. It is just a massive storm. It shows no signs of detensifying, and it's just one storm that will go down in the record books. No telling what happens. You see the quadrant, the line. You see that grid. If we could bring that up, Jason, just for a second, that map again. There you see that line to the left. is the line really due south of Lafourche. We don't want it to get to that point. It's got to start making that turn before it gets to that quadrant line, and that's what we're hoping. So if you're watching, still heed the warning. You should be not watching at this point. You should be in a car and traveling west, and when you get to Lafayette, you head up north. There you see the first feeder bands coming into Grand Isle, Leeville, Galliana, Golden Meadow, and it's folks, this is the beginning. This is the beginning right here of what will certainly go down as the worst hurricane up to this date in the history of Louisiana.
If we're going to see winds as high as 200 miles an hour in gusts,
that's tornado strength.
You're looking at a huge tornado. Exactly right.
I mean, that is, you know, there has never been. There's only one storm that's had a lower pressure, and that was the storm of 1936, recorded. This is lower pressure-wise than Camille was, and it's 4 times the size.
Yeah, I'm really scared. I'm cautious. If people can get out of town, they need to do that. Get out.
Well, if we ever prayed for a miracle, now is the time. Look how impressive this storm is. I mean, what can you tell people that you've heard the callers? They keep calling in saying, "Do I have to leave?" What do we have to do to tell them you have to leave?
I really think that if you're anywhere in Terrebonne Parish and you don't have to be here, you need to try to get out. We mentioned in the winds, or you mentioned the winds, but there's going to be a lot of water behind this thing.
Yes.
The last computer simulation I saw showed that around the eye, the tides were at 47 feet, or the waves were at 47 feet.
Yeah, 50 feet. Can you imagine a storm like this in the old days where people didn't know it was coming and it's upon them?
Oh, I can remember those days.
I mean, and now we have the technology to tell them everything that's happening, and they still will not leave.
Well, this is what I've been telling myself. All these other hurricanes that have been coming, I've been watching them, and they forecast where they're going to go. Just because I live here doesn't mean that the forecast is going to change, because they've been pretty much accurate for the last 2 or 3 years on where our storm is going to hit, where it goes in early on.
Right.
And because of that fact, when I see them telling me a storm's going to be hitting Terrebonne Parish, the likelihood of it hitting Terrebonne Parish is great, because they have been pretty accurate for the last 3 years with this Viper radar and Doppler radar and anything that they can use to determine the wind direction, the wind shifts and everything. Is just unbelievable. Technology's come about, manifested itself into where there's no doubt when they tell you it's going to hit, it's going to hit.
Right.
So just because I live here, I can't sit here and will it away or pray that it goes someplace else. Most likely it's going to hit where they say it's going to hit, because it hits everywhere else where they say it's going to hit.
Right. One slight little jog to the northwest instead of north-northwest, which would mean maybe it's starting to take the northern approach. However, we have made a decision here at the station, due to the magnitude of this storm, a Category 5 of epic proportions. I have decided that the skeleton crew, we have about 4 remaining employees here at HTV, that we will allow them to make sure that they are out of harm's way. And keep in mind, I know that some out in the public won't understand this decision, but we are not in high-rise buildings as they are in the metropolitan areas. We are the closest TV station to the Gulf of Mexico, and this is no storm to play around with. Therefore, we have made a decision to deploy some of the station personnel to safety. I will remain in Terrebonne Parish along with 3 other personnel, and we will come on if we can later. We will try to come on at 1 o'clock if permissible, and if we see that we have a window to come on, we will leave you with the radar screens. However, we will try to keep you abreast of the situation. We are gearing up for the aftermath. We're going to be coming up to a shipyard, which is Chesson's, right up here to the left, and this is a large metal building, which you'll see. It's right next to LaRose Scrap and Salvage, and we're just going to pull in to see exactly what they've done to secure some of their boats, because they have boats in the back. There you see them working hard, trying to get boats secured. All right, we're here behind Chesson Welding. As you can tell, a lot of the boats have been tied up, and this is where some of the folks are going to wait out the hurricane here, Hurricane Katrina. Not a bad idea. I'm on top one of the boats. Looks like it's pretty good shape. They have them tied, if you could turn, Jason, they have them tied to some of the cranes and cherry pickers that are located all over. So I think they got a pretty good idea. If we could swing back this way, we're gonna get a couple of comments here. Now it looks like y'all got your lawn chair out, but it looks like y'all spending the night in a little different place tonight.
I think so, yes. I would have stayed home, but I decided that my husband was too scared, so we came on the boat.
Well, it looks like a pretty good place to stay. This is pretty sturdy.
Yeah, I think so. My first time, but I think it's going to be okay.
All right. How about you, young man? You gonna stay on the boat?
Yeah.
Are you nervous?
No.
You ready to go, huh?
Yeah.
All right, y'all got enough food? Y'all got everything packed up?
Yeah.
She's making gumbo.
Oh, all right.
Cooking gumbo.
There you go.
The second time I've been on a boat.
Only the second time?
The third.
All right. How about you? You ready?
Yes, I'm ready. I'm helping Nikki make the gumbo.
All right.
Yeah.
So you're helping to cook, huh?
Yes.
How about you, young man? You scared?
I'm not scared, Mom.
All right, he's not scared. There you have it. You can see the golden metal tower, and that's where we're located now. You can tell the breeze has picked up quite a bit. It's 1:55 p.m. approximately 24 hours before the eye will pass on the right. You can see some of the flood walls protection system, which is here in Golden Meadow. You can see some of the homes here protected. Of course, I just don't know how much this wall is going to protect anybody. That remains to be seen. There's going to be a lot of tests. And as you can see, folks, on Louisiana 1, they have the road blocked. Sheriff's Department has it blocked. And we'll talk with them and see what's happening. We're here at the Golden Meadow floodgate. And as you can tell, the breeze has picked up. They just had a pretty good shower here. If you can see behind me here, some of those rozos are really getting whipped around a little bit. Steady breeze, you know, 10, 15 miles per hour, but the feeder bands have really started kicking in here. We are still 15, 16, 17 hours away from landfall. So you can understand how big this storm is now, because some of the bands that are coming in are well in front of this storm, and it just goes to show you the magnitude of the storm. If we walk over here, we can also tell that the Lafourche Parish Sheriff's Office has blocked the road to go there. That's because they want everybody going away from this storm. They've done a tremendous job. All law enforcement has done a tremendous job of making sure that the people are getting off the road. You can see law enforcement all over working very hard, and that's what it's all about. We're picking up some pretty good feeder bands right now. If you could turn around, Jace, you can see the winds starting to pick up here in Golden Meadow. And this is going to be a pounding, folks. This is just the start. This is going to happen time and time and time again. It's going to lay down. It's going to start again. It's going to lay down. But when that wall comes kicking in, you're going to see winds that you've never seen before here in coastal Louisiana. Okay, Aaron, of course, see 3 Lafourche Parish units here at the Golden Meadow floodgates. We've covered many storms. Have y'all been out here in many storms? This one has a different feel to it. Give me your thoughts on what's taking place as the breeze is picking up here.
Well, for about the last hour, the winds have been sustained, as you can see, for about 25 to 30 miles an hour. We get heavy gusts. We do get heavy rain on and off. How's it different? Obviously, it's a very dangerous storm, and you know, we're urging people to leave the area. We're not allowing anyone beyond this point for safety reasons.
Now, of course, units have a hard time in 39-mile-an-hour winds. That's why they pull them off the road. So you're not far from it here. In a few hours, couple hours, 3 hours, as we keep getting those gusts, y'all may have to pull the units off the road.
Yeah, we're going to monitor that as we go, and of course the command post will make that decision.
Behind me is the Golden Meadow floodgate protection system. As you can tell, everything around this levee, okay, everything north of the levee is protected by the system. Now you can tell the northeast winds are really picking up here in Golden Meadow. The northeast winds are pushing all of this water against that wall at the present time. Of course, that all changes as the storm roars in and where it roars in. But right now, the residents of Golden Meadow are hoping that this protection system is enough to protect them from a Category 5 hurricane. This is the biggest test that this floodgate system, along with other floodgate systems, has gone through in the history of their existence. It's also going to rewrite the books on how we do hurricane protection systems in the future. Right now the winds probably 25 to 35 miles per hour picking up, and they're steady. And believe me, this is about 20 hours before the storm is to make landfall. It is unbelievable how the winds already are starting to pick up. It's 2:20 p.m. on Sunday afternoon, August 28th. And as you can tell, the rain has picked up, and we're still, you know, many hours from Hurricane Katrina making landfall. But we're in one of those famous feeder bands that you just saw when we met up with some of the Lafourche Parish Sheriff's Department at the Golden Meadow floodgate. So it's one of those situations where we're about to come out of the band. You can see it's getting lighter. We just came through it. The rain's getting lighter. That's going to be continuous for a long time, band after band after band. This is a shot of our HTV broadcast tower. That's what scares me the most about our business, is that the tower is right behind our office where we're about to pull in to do a broadcast, and it scares me that that tower may not still be standing. And you know, that is our lifeline. But we just hope and pray that it is 24 hours from now. You're in a mobile home? Ma'am, you have to get out of that mobile home. South Terrebonne High School. But you have got, listen to me very closely. And I'm not an alarmist. I don't think I ever have been. Sometimes I go the opposite extreme. Get in your vehicle, and you have to go to the Houma Civic Center. Okay? I'm just looking out for you. All right. It is now 5:12 here in Houma. We have been going around the parish taking pictures. Right now we're under one of those big feeder bands. And we are trying to get power to one of our monitors. As soon as we get that, I'm going to go through the map one more time. I just want to say personally, I appreciate Bryson Graham and Jason Serenier who've been with me. We're staying in Houma to document what we're about to go through. We've been in Lafourche Parish. We've been down to the Golden Meadow floodgates. It's been one of those situations where it's getting worse. What can I say? I'm looking at a buoy right now that is off the coast that is now registering wind speeds at 58.3. And you know, it's just, hopefully everyone has heeded the warning. Hopefully, I know there's still people out there because we've been passing people. So I know there are people who are in their cars, in their houses, and now you're in it for good. There's really no window of opportunity left to get on the road. I'm sure you can hear some of the rain that is falling right here in Terrebonne Parish. Now, what I want to do is let's take you through the track again. We've been having our satellite up this afternoon while we had our skeleton crew out there filming. And let's take you through it again, give you the latest before we get back on the road. The latest position, 26.9 north, 89.0 west. Winds 165 miles per hour. It died down about 5 miles per hour, but so what when it's this kind of storm? Gusts at 200 miles per hour. They were at 215. Hopefully that means it's weakening, but you can't count on it with this storm. Movement northwest at 13 miles per hour. 225 miles southeast of New Orleans, Louisiana. And as we look at our next graphic, there you go, the strike probability. AccuWeather is still saying this thing is going to take that jog and it's going to hit somewhere around Port Sulphur, Plaquemines, that area. We can't really pinpoint the exact area, but that's what they are still saying at this particular time. If we can keep going, Jason. There you see the imagery. I mean, it is a well-defined storm. It's making that jog right at the end.
You're doing a great job, Martin. Where's your stick?
Well, I tell you what, I had that stick electronically placed up there. That way I wouldn't have to keep putting it up there. But, you know, at about an hour ago, when it made the separation from that stick, or 2 hours ago, watch right here as it starts going to the right. You see how it moves across the plane?
Sure. Yeah.
That's the reference point where people don't have to strain to see it make that move.
Well, I think your stick was better. You did a great job. I know you were worn out, though.
Oh, I tell you, it's just, it's been one of those nights. We have a skeleton crew, and I got the two guys that are with me. I tell you what, they deserve a gold medal. They've been with me for the last 2 days, and I know they're tired, but we're going to try to get it for you.
Thank you, buddy. Have a great job.
Thank you. And welcome back to our continuing coverage of Hurricane Katrina. I'm Martin Folse, and the time now is about 10 minutes to 6, and the conditions are starting to erode rather quickly, and it's just one of those situations that this is a storm of unprecedented magnitude that is coming down the pipe, and it is just going to be a wait-and-see attitude at this point on how we fare, where it actually goes in, where it makes landfall, and how much damage it will do to really the coastline of Louisiana. We are at HTV, we're about 30 miles from the coast. Excuse my voice, I've been trying to hold on to it all day. And we are going to, in a few minutes, put our maps back up because we are driving around the parish trying to get on film what is actually taking place. We have a feeling that this needs to be documented for the record books on how to look at this storm and how to analyze what took place, because this is going to be a teaching tool for kids who come up that just remember when we were young and Betsy came in and everyone always talked about Betsy. When young kids now grow up and we talk about Hurricane Katrina and what actually happened, we will have footage of what actually Terrebonne Parish, Lafourche, and Grand Isle and all those areas looked like before, and then what it looked like after. So it's definitely a situation that we want to document. We're here at the home of Terrebonne Civic Center, and as you can see behind us, they had a bunch of people coming in the front door that are still outside. If you were to bring those people in here right now, this place would be completely packed. As you can see, everybody has sort of got their own, I guess, little corner of the hut over here. People have sort of set up shop. And matter of fact, when we were walking in here, it was very, very cold, very cool. So the air conditioners are running. We're going to make our way down over here, and we're going to see if we can't tell. Here's a young fella. How long have you been in the shelter over here?
I don't know. About 4 or 5 hours.
4 or 5 hours? Are you okay? You got a comfortable seat?
Yeah, I sit on the floor down the corner.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you a little nervous, or are you too young to know what's actually happening?
I'm too nervous because of the tornado and the hurricane.
All right, you can see the start now. This is the start. If we could pan out, you can see the wind now moving in sheets. The wind is pushing the rain, it's driving the rain. You're seeing the first feeder bands that are coming off this storm, which is a major Category 5 storm. I can just tell you right now that normally you would see this in a tropical storm. This is a cakewalk compared to what these people at the Houma Civic Center are about to go through. The winds are starting to whip through, but this is minimal. This is minimal of what they're about to go through. The winds right here are gusting probably at around 35, 40 miles an hour. The winds over here in Houma are going to get to around 80, 85 miles per hour. In the southeastern part of Terrebonne Parish, the winds will be in excess of 100 miles per hour. But where the eye wall is making landfall, those winds will be 165 miles per hour with gusts of nearly 200 miles per hour. So as you can see, here at the Houma Terrebonne Civic Center, the winds are really whipping up pretty good. Jason, if we can move around right here, you could get a shot. Maybe if we could reference it off the top of these cars to the left, you can see the wind as it's driving the rain. It's starting to move pretty good, and this is just the indicator of what's about to come here in Houma, Louisiana. With the parish president, Don Schwab, and also the chief of police, Pat Boudreau, and I guess, Don, we'll start with you. We've been talking to you quite a bit on the phone. The window of opportunity is starting to close now. We're starting to see some of the effects, but this thing still, I think this thing really now has people's attention.
I think they really have, Martin. I would say the evacuation process, we probably got about 60% in Terrebonne Parish, which is not as much as we probably wanted, but I think the closer the storm gets and they understand the severity of the storm, I think it'll be more of an impact. So hopefully we get them out of harm's way.
I've heard probably 1,000 people in the last couple of days compare this to Hurricane Betsy. And it baffles me because I don't think most of them didn't go through Hurricane Betsy. Now, after this happened, will they be comparing everything to Hurricane Katrina?
They probably will. I mean, this you know, we've always talked about the worst case scenario of a hurricane hitting the Terrebonne Bay or mouth of the river and it's staring us right in the face. And believe me, Martin, I think that's what's got everybody's attention. I think they've showed more respect for this storm than any previous ones, believe me.
Right. Chief of Police Pat Boudreau, we talked about this storm has winds in it that are just unbelievable. And I know we were talking, and I like the analogy you gave about the tornado. This thing's like a big tornado.
Yeah, the maximum sustained winds is 165 mile an hour with even larger gusts. And the Stafford-Simpson scale is how they judge hurricanes, and this is a Category 5. It's the Fujita scale is how they do tornadoes, and anything over 153 miles an hour is an F3 tornado. A tornado has a small path, and they usually last a minute or so. This is 165 mile an hour winds extending 105 miles from the center, so has a 210 mile hurricane force wind swath, and we're going to be in it for hours. So this is going to be catastrophic.
What is the difference, Don, between what Terrebonne Parish is going to get in, say, Lafourche, where we think, we don't know for sure yet, that we're still going to be on the good side, but what kind of winds can we expect in Terrebonne?
Well, they're telling us, Martin, in probably the southeastern part of the parish, probably 110 to 100. Here in the city of Houma, and you have to understand the distance of maybe 10 or 12 miles makes a huge difference. Probably looking at 75 to 80, okay? So, but once again, we don't know the exact position of the landfall, Martin. That's what's so scary about this storm. I mean, they still say that we may go east and over Barataria Bay, but that's not carved in stone.
Once again, folks, there you have it. The parish president, Don Schwab, the chief of police, Pat Boudreau. This is a storm of unprecedented proportions here that's about to rip through the coastal regions, and we're just going to have to say a lot of prayers and see what happens from here on out. The day of delivery, the day that Katrina will touch down and make a landfall somewhere now looking around Buras or Plaquemines Parish, or maybe even a little bit west of that. It's still not quite surely certain where it will make landfall. However, if we can, we've been riding around the parish for the last 4 or 5 hours trying to document things that are happening. There's a lot of activity, although the winds have not really been sustained here in Terrebonne Parish. and lower Terrebonne, they're picking up quite a bit. And we also have footage of the evacuation methods and the evacuation success, we should say, of at least Terrebonne Parish as we roll with the Sheriff's Department. All right, we're here in Ile-de-Jean-Charles. As you can see, the wind's now coming out the northeast, 15, 20 mile an hour wind steady. Every now and then you get a good gust, but I'm gonna tell you, the feeder bands are coming in, conditions are going to get worse real quick in this area. Now, of course, we're riding with the Terrebonne Parish Sheriff's Department trying to find out, we heard reports that some people are still here on the island. So we're going to try to find out why and hopefully see if we can't get them out. We're with several sheriff's deputies on 2 deuce-and-a-halves. And as you can tell, the wind is starting to pick up. Island Road used to be inundated around this time, but they've brought the elevation up on it, and it has helped out quite a bit. But I think it also gives people an opportunity to think they can stay a little longer. So we'll find out if anybody indeed is home. Lights are on.
You broke up. 10-4.
Unless maybe they left the lights on so nobody would vandalize them. Huh?
Good possibility.
Well, that's a good sign. That's a good sign. People are thinking here. Good deal. All right, we're here in Ashland subdivision, which is a trailer park. You can see the winds are really starting to pick up. We were out here and ran into the sheriff who's doing patrols out here. And Sheriff, you were telling me that so far people have listened and heeded the warning.
Yes, Martin, and I'm very glad. You know, it's pretty much almost at 9:30 p.m. Of course, the storm is, I understand, about 150, 180 miles still south of New Orleans, and hopefully headed in that direction where it can hopefully miss Terrebonne Parish. But as I understand it, in the early morning hours, we're going to have winds in Terrebonne Parish about 100 miles an hour. Now, what we're doing now, we have about 50 deputies that is canvassing the entire parish, especially the low-lying areas. As you've seen, I took you back here a few minutes ago, and Ashland North and Ashland South is pretty much completely evacuated. Believe it or not, there's still, I just come from Montague area, there's still a few people in the Montague community that are actually living in trailer houses. We're trying to get these people to evacuate and go to a shelter. Hopefully they'll take our recommendation. But the majority of the low-lying areas of Terrebonne Parish has been evacuated. There are some people that are staying down there, and we're going to try to get these people out, at least up to the northern part of the parish, and get them in shelters. Now, again, we're not out of the weather yet. We're not out of the clear weather. We will be sustaining 100-mile-an-hour plus winds, according to the National Weather Service. So we're out here. We'll probably stay out here a few more hours. When things start getting a little worse, we will bring all our deputies in the courthouse and ride out the storm tonight.
In driving with your units and all, they've also listened about the curfew. I didn't see a whole lot of cars out on the road.
Actually, I've been pretty much all over the parish. The people are adhering to our recommendation. There is absolutely zero alcohol being served anywhere in the parish. Every bar has been closed prior to 6 p.m. So we want to thank everybody for cooperating with us. Every shelter is pretty much full, but we will not turn people away from shelters, especially in substandard housing. You know, trailers, get out of trailers, because even 100-mile-an-hour winds is definitely too much for a trailer house, Martin.
If we could get Jason to turn on this tree right here, we got one of those feeder bands coming in again.
Well, we're going to be getting a lot of feeder bands, and again, we're all praying that this storm does take a more northerly track, as the National Weather Service said it would. But again, we have our entire office, 300 people, will be riding this storm out. As you can see, we have our 6 deuce-and-a-halves out. If somebody needs help, of course, we will come out if the weather allows us. So it's going to come a point in time when we're going to have to batten the hatch down and just ride it out. And hopefully, after the storm passes, that we can get down to the lower end of the parish, the northern end of the parish. Hopefully the power lines won't be down, hopefully the trees won't be down, and debris won't be blocking the road. But we're going to start from the courthouse and work our way out to the entire parish so that we can maybe start some search and rescue efforts after the storm passes.
It is picking up here at the studios at HTV. This is right outside of the HTV studios on St. Charles Street, 1221 a.m. Monday morning. This is Katrina now knocking on the door here in the southern coastal parishes, and it's only going to get worse from this point. This is an extremely dangerous hurricane, Category 5 hurricane. If you don't know that by now,